Hello and welcome to Who Are You? The Bobcats you know, the stories you don't. I'm your host, Joel Vanner, inside the podcast studio, Quinnipiac University School of Communications, and I'm joined today by my guest, Jody Ashielfie. Jody, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. So Jody, for our listeners and viewers, why don't you start by introducing yourself and tell us who are you?
Well, I'm currently a grad student here at QU in the PMBA program. I did my undergrad and I finished in 2025, and I did that in business administration, and I currently work as a court stenographer, and I cover a lot of depositions, hearings, arbitrations. That's what I've been doing for quite some time.
Very interesting. And you were a business administration undergrad here, and you're now in our professional Masters of Business Administration program.
Yes.
Business focus, your current role as a court stenographer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to Jody as a kid. What were your passions and interests? Where were we? Set the scene.
Well, I immigrated to the U.S. from London, England, and most of my family also immigrated either from Ghana, West Africa, or Jamaica. So my earliest memories of anything associated with business was my mom. It was in like the 90s when women were going to work. They were on Wall Street. They were doing big things, and my mom was one of them. And I have fond memories of her before, I was in school. Of course, she's going to be the one that's going to take care of me. So I was going to work with her. I remember hopping on the subway. She was fully suited and booted. She looked beautiful. Her heels on her sneakers on her feet, her heels in her hands, her briefcase, and me in tow. And we'd make our way to Manhattan. And that was kind of my first introduction to business. And I don't really have solid memories because I was really little, but I just remember that energy. And I thought that those women and those people were the coolest things in the world. And I wanted to be part of it some kind of way.
So what was the moment where you said, business, that's the field that I want to possibly go into and explore further? From
an early age, I think, as a little kid, you want to be a princess, you want to be a cowgirl, you want to be all these.
You have hopes and dreams.
These huge, amazing things, which some people are doing, and great for them. But one thing it stuck with me. I thought that being able to create something and to be able to work with people, work with teams, and to make something your own was huge to me. And it seemed really insurmountable because I was little and I just saw, big businesses around me. I didn't know how they did it, but I thought it was cool. And I was like, one of these days, I'm going to be one of those people in those suits, in those amazing fashions. And I'm going to create my own business. And I didn't know what that business was going to be, but I knew I was going to have one.
And you had your mom, who was your superhero, your idol.
My everything, my everything.
What was your first step towards a path in business?
That's a great question. It wasn't by any means a straight trajectory. Unfortunately, I lost my mom at a young age, so that motivating force or that example that I had was no longer a physical presence in my life, which was a very difficult time for me. So I ended up going to school for a time in Texas, and I lost a lot of that focus about my passions in business, and I was just really trying to get by, trying to get an education so that I could find something to do. I didn't have a very specific path. I just wanted to just get something done. And it wasn't until I had gone to court reporting school and I had a taste of what it was like running my own business as a reporter.
As yourself.
As myself, as a solopreneur, that those things reignited that passion. And I wanted to do more than what I was doing as a reporter. I felt that I had really reached the cap of that. I had seen all the cases. I had been doing it for almost, at the time, but when I went back to school, been doing it for almost 10 years now, 15 years plus. And that made me really want to drill down as to what I was going to do, how I was going to get back to that love for business. And I knew I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to complete my undergrad, and I had to find a program that fit the schedule that I needed, which QU came in and was amazing in every way.
So you have this experience as a court reporter, building your own business, your own brand as yourself, but
Right.
you also have this interest in getting back to the dream, right? So where did Quinnipiac come into the picture? What was your journey back to school like?
Well, it always bothered me that I did not finish undergrad. It was something that ate at me. I felt like I always questioned, why didn't you just stick with that program? You went into something completely different. And I knew that I wanted to finish. And I remember at that school in Texas, one of the deans or whoever during orientation, she told us to look to our left and look to our right. And most likely that the person to our left and to our right wouldn't make it to graduation. And at that time, I never thought that I was going to be one of those people. And that haunted me. I could not stand that I did not finish something that I had intended to. And so I got really serious about finding a way to go back to school. The issue that I was having is I need to work full time. I don't live at home with my parents. I didn't have that type of a setup. So I had, very specific bills that I had to pay, and no one cared that all of a sudden, I got this fire under my tail that I needed to go back to school. So I needed to find a program that was going to be supportive of me still working full time. And that is where QU came in. They had the BBA online program where I could take a majority of my classes online. And they were very kind that if I felt that a class was going to be very difficult, they allowed me to take it on campus. So I had a lot of flexibility in my time, and I was able to accelerate as I needed to. And I took a lot of 7-week courses and some over 15 weeks, and I was able to graduate. So I was really grateful for QU.
The Bachelor of Business Administration, the BBA program that you just mentioned, how did that customization help you get back into learning and completing your undergraduate degree, being able to customize the modality, right, of the course just based on what it was?
Right. That was a learning curve because when I was in school, a blackboard was something you wrote on. So I had to learn all of these programs and systems and
the lingo.
And I was struggling. I'm sure the tech team here was sick of me, but they were great and helped me so that it became, very comfortable for me to be able to be in these systems and these programs. So being able to customize the courses that I was required to take to the time frame that I needed was invaluable. I knew what my schedule was, and I knew what QU expected of me. So I looked and saw where I could get in, where I could fit in, and made sure that I took the courses that I needed. So the really difficult courses, I did those in 15 weeks because I knew I was going to need more time. The courses that I felt were more my niche, that I would be more naturally adaptable to, I was able to complete those in 7 weeks. So having those options made it, I won't say it was easy because those 7-week courses are killer, but having that option where I did not have to be in a 15-week course in order to complete my program really gave me a specific time that I could work within so that I could move on to the next part of my education, which was the MBA.
With this program, both online experiences you've had and also in person, how did you form connections with faculty as you were completing your business administration classes?
Yeah, because I was online, obviously I wasn't going to be in person with my teachers. So I made it a point to set up a Zoom with them at the beginning of the semester so that they could actually see me. We could go over expectations. My number one question to them was, what are you looking for in your A+ students? What is it that you want to drag out of us and help us to refine? And by making that connection, my professors knew me. They knew my work. I was in their emails. I went to their office hours. I made good use of the options that they had to contact them. And I think that maybe some people might be afraid of that or say, I don't want to bother them. They actually, because I made that effort, they went above and beyond for me. I had professors when I didn't understand something. We had, evening Zooms. I had a professor, Professor Jones, when I was in her data analysis class and I didn't know anything about Excel. It would be 8:00 at night and she'd be helping me with the homework because I showed that personal interest. So showing that effort to them, they went above and beyond. And I was able to graduate. One of my proudest things is I graduated at the top of my class. I graduated summa cum laude. So I think because of taking that time to work with my professors and truly show interest in the class that they have worked hard to develop, that was a game changer for me. And I'm very grateful for them.
And just having faculty be so accessible to you helped, I'm sure, in the beginning, but also helped throughout your studies. So as you said, as you're balancing life, right, you're also balancing life as a student and everything else that comes with that. How did you get involved at Quinnipiac as a student?
That was one of the things that I regretted the most in my undergrad, that I did not get involved sooner. I had this attitude when I first came in that, I just got to get my grades. I got to keep my head down, graduate. I'm already behind, where I think I should be, which was delusional. And I'm going to just go in, get out, and do what I got to do. And that I missed a lot of opportunities because I had that mindset. So when I went into the PMBA, I made it a point I was going to get more involved. I was going to do as much as I could with still having to balance work and schoolwork. I was going to do as much as I could with QU. So I joined the Beta Gamma Sigma in undergrad, and then I was able to become part of the e-board with that. I became the membership chair.
What is Beta Gamma Sigma?
It's the honor society for the business school. So that was a really cool honor just to even be invited to join. And when they had openings for the e-board, I didn't think that I was going to get picked, but they allowed me to become the membership chair, and I've been really enjoying my work with that. We were able to do some volunteer work with JA Day, and we got to work with some younger students. It was really awesome. And then I am also on the advisory board for the graduate students, and that has led to opportunities that I didn't see coming. I got to do the first gen video for the meeting that we had for first gen students, which was really cool. Gina Grubb made sure that happened for me. I got to be a part of the pitch competition, the fall pitch competition. And I was surprised I won, third place. And it's been so many amazing things that have happened. I'm getting to do the podcast show with you.
It's all
just
awesome
by
stuff.
Getting more involved, and not because I was looking to be out there or looking to put my name out there. If QU poured so much into me, I wanted to pour back into QU. And that was kind of the mindset that there were so many things available and so many cool things to do. And because I just sat back with my arms crossed, I'm going to just, get my grades.
It's more than a checkbox.
Exactly.
Looking
It's
back,
like there's experiences to be had and people to meet that are, going to change your life. And I never knew how positive, and this is just the start. Like, this is the start of the PMBA semester, and so many cool things have happened. So I'm coming from a place of being very grateful for that. And I can't wait to see what else I get into.
I love that you said that you poured so much into Quinnipiac, and it's pouring so much back to you in terms of development. Also, as a fellow Quinnipiac alum, I can relate to that and all those experiences, and just the way that you can express yourself, learn new things, all while you're having your academic experiences and balancing life and everything else. But you mentioned the pitch competition. I'm curious what your business was, and you said you came in third, right?
I'm grateful to pitch that. Yes, I did come in third, which was super cool. So my idea is for ergonomic makeup brushes.
Okay.
If you've ever seen one, I didn't bring one with me today, but some of our precision tools are very difficult to handle, especially for those of us that have carpal tunnel. I do arthritis, limited dexterity. So, I'm not going to give up the glam life. It's not going to give me up. I'm a hardcore member of the glam life. And so I wanted to create something that was more comfortable to hold. And if I did some research and saw that I can't be the only person that's feeling this discomfort and this pain, so why not create something that is comfortable, that can extend careers, especially for makeup artists that are doing it day in and day out. So I went with the idea. I got in contact with Dr. Tomczyk, and he was like, let's make it happen. Once again, QU coming in for the save.
It's awesome to have the Center for Innovation here on campus and your work with Dr. Tomczyk to bring and grow your ideas. And if it's not an area of the business aspect that you may be confident in, there are other students you can partner with, and it's just a great place to grow.
100%.
And speaking of continuing to grow, what was the moment when you were in your undergraduate experience that you thought, I want to now go get my PMBA at Quinnipiac, which is our Professional Masters of Business Administration graduate program? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so I knew that when I went back to school, I was going to be going for some really heavy degrees. I wanted a master's, and I wanted to eventually get my doctorate. So I didn't know when I started that I was going to do the MBA here. I was first looking to do one of those combination programs where they do the MBA with your JD or the MBA with your doctorate. And I was kind of all over the place. And towards the end of graduation, when I knew that, towards the end of the semester, when I knew I was very serious about getting this MBA done, I was like, why am I looking so hard? QU has one of the best MBA programs ever. And I qualified for the PMBA because I had work experience. So I was like, I'm going to go to QU. I know the system. I know Blackboard now.
You know the community.
I know the community. I'm going to go here. And best decision ever.
What was the transition between graduate life as a graduate student and also continuing your life outside as well, your job, et cetera? Was it similar to your undergraduate experience? Were there differences? How have you kind of grown? What have you learned now having completed one degree?
Well, I would say that it's been a confidence boost. I knew that I had my certifications that I worked really hard for in court reporting, and that was a sense of accomplishment. But having my undergrad was a different level. I held my head up a little higher. I was less nervous walking into different situations that I would face because I knew that I had the coursework and I worked hard for that degree. So it just gave me such a confidence boost. And now that I would be able to qualify to work in different sectors, that was huge. It took a load off. Like, I know how to do more than one thing now. I'm qualified for more than one thing. So it took a weight off my shoulders.
What advice would you give to anyone who's listening who needs that motivational moment for them to take that step and come back to school, or maybe just even start school at a later period in their life? What would you say to them?
That's a great question, because there's so many things that people have trepidation about, things that I had trepidation about. Just start. And I know that sounds so cliche. Just start.
Can't get there if you don't start.
Exactly. You don't have to take a full semester of classes. Get into one class. Look at the syllabus of what you'd be required to do, and get into something that you know you can manage. Learn whatever the program is going to be, and just start. And once you start, you've already pushed the boulder up the hill. It's going to go down now. You know, you've done the hard part. You started, and now you'd be surprised. I was shocked at how things that were cobwebs in my brain got dusted off. And I remember the first time that a professor asked for 400 words on a subject. I was like, 400 words? Even though my life is words, I have to come off of that, thinking about this case study or whatever the case was for that particular subject. And that was a challenge for me. Now I can do 400 words in 30 minutes. So you build a muscle memory. And I think that fear that you may have is a lot bigger in your head, but you're not going to know that unless you take the first step.
And that boulder gets lighter as you find your community and continue.
Then it becomes a pebble.
It becomes a pebble. So you're on a roll now. Yes. The boulder analogies, I guess. What are you hoping to continue to do after your PMBA? What's next for Jody?
So I am determined to take my idea to market. I'm very excited about that. It's, once again, in going back to business, it's easy to have all of these ideas floating in your head, and you get into the trap of when I get to it. And the scariest part about starting a business is, number one, how do you start? All the things that you're going to need to make it successful. There's so many moving parts, and it can get overwhelming. But also the fear is, what if I start it and it works? And now I'm responsible for things. And now I'm still learning, but I've got people that are counting on me. So I'm determined to run towards the thing that's making me the most nervous, which is taking this business to market. But I also want to continue my education. I'm not done yet. And so I'm looking forward to, after this, law school, and then after that, my doctorate.
That's awesome, Jody. I'm looking forward to seeing your successes now as a guest of the podcast, and wish you the best of luck. And thank you for joining the program and sharing your experiences with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share, and find other episodes on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube podcasts. Until next time, when I ask my next guest, who are you? I'm Joel Vanner. Bye for now.